something knew exactly what you were going to think hundreds of thousands of years, billions of years before you ever thought of it. It knows exactly what you're going to do. Even as I give you this information, it can know what you will do next. And it will alter events to make sure this continues to happen. Its cycle continues. It does not stop. It cannot be stopped. Because this thing is law itself.
Jax, how in the hell do you know so much about this place and this thing?
I've been stuck in here, actually, for the last 3 days. And actually, this particular room, and after digging through a lot of shit in that computer over there, and looking at this thing, I can make some connections here. Especially since my last 3 days were also completely preordained.
So if you've been here before, clearly you got out to gather the couple of others that are here.
Yes.
And are now back in. You have to know the way back out, correct?
Yes, and I will help you guys get back out.
But why did you bring them back in the first place?
Bring who back in?
Or bring the others here in the first place? Like, why leave and come back with more?
Because I need the help. The God Machine knows that I'm here. I also needed to strike a special deal. In order to make certain things happen. Suffice to say, I think I can buy you guys a chance. I can change the percentage from 100% complete destruction to maybe 99%. That's as good as it's gonna get, and that's a hell of a lot better than 100.
Well, considering you at least seem to know what the hell you're talking about here. I don't have a whole lot of other choice other than to tag along and make sure this works out.
Yeah, and I'd appreciate it. It's good to have you here, Odin. We're gonna need all the muscle we can get.
There is another question I have, though.
Sure.
The boss.
She's in there too. That's why it was so important I came back.
She is within this structure.
She's inside this structure, yeah. She's also in that alternate reality.
Well, then that's first on the list.
Exactly. But we gotta leave it down to the guys. They'll go at her and try and find her in whatever order they can, but we're not leaving without her. You know I'm not gonna leave without her. And I know you won't either.
I like the way you think.
And with that, he goes back and gets back onto the computer and just continues to search and search and search. And you can see how fast he's going through this. He's been through a lot of these things. There was just something that he's looking for, and he knows that if he finds it, he can fix something. But right now, he's just rushing it. And he says, alright guys, just get ready. After the first angel shows up, there will be more. And it's a lot sooner than the 5 hours I was expecting. We've got about 4 hours left. Oh shit, this is gonna be a hell of a ride, guys. Alright, so the first event will be... yeah, you're gonna have to give me a few minutes to actually figure out what the next events are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
next big event, the ocean begins to rise.
Hmm.
And it will swallow nations.
Let's see. So I guess as the search continues, I don't know if I can try and acquaint myself with the one other person here that I'm not totally familiar with,
Sure.
which would be Zulfikar.
Yep.
I want to ask him where is it that you pulled that strength from? That's not natural.
Zulfikar looks at you, and he seems to actually kind of respect you. Oh. You're, Odin, yes?
Yes.
Interesting. I didn't imagine you to be that big. Well, as it turns out, I'm able to draw upon the power of condemned souls. Something a little bit different than Ishana's over there. Because he looks at her with kind of this smug look of, heh, mine works, why doesn't yours?
So you are an immortal as well?
Yes. I was actually Ishana's first apprentice, and her last.
I see.
What about you? What are these things on your arms? As he goes and takes a look at them, he seems very fascinated. And actually, unlike Ishana, who seems very technologically challenged, he's very tech savvy.
Because Ishana's more on the old craft,
Yes.
smithing and rune crafting.
Zulfikar, on the other hand, as he explains more about himself, he doesn't seem to have any problem talking about himself. You find out a couple of things. First, every great technological revolution that's happened in terms of weapons, he had a hand in some way, shape, or form. Including the Manhattan Project, including the Iron Age, including just a number of different technological super jumps.
So you're a pretty old one yourself.
Oh yeah, he's been around for a while. Since the beginning of... Yeah, since the dawn of the Iron Age. That was when he created the first Damascus blade, which he's famous for.
However, you seem confused, or at least interested in the suit, which leads me to believe you didn't help the inventor who created this.
Not this one. Of course, naturally other people create brand new inventions. This particular suit, on the other hand, I've never seen before, though I recognize the guns that are strapped to your arms.
A bit of a modification to give my punch a little more punch.
I like it. Now what say you to switching out some ammunition? And to which he opens up the inside of his jacket and reaches in for a small case. And this case is very high-tech looking. It's nice in glass, it's got nice metal corners, it's really fancy. And inside are 16 shotgun shells. It says, I just got done making these. I was wondering if you wanted to try them out.
What do they do?
So you know what happens when you... Imagine, if you will, and he almost seems a little bit more on the romantic side of explaining how beautiful weapons work. He loves his craft. He loves it so much. Imagine, if you will, I have this small case right here. He pulls out one. Inside this metal container contains the force of a miniature nuclear fucking warhead. To which, upon firing, it will go until it hits its target. And once it hits its target, it will combine two chemicals together, which will fuse and create an explosion. The likes of which very few things are going to be able to survive. I don't care if it's a fucking angel or not. It's going down.
Have you ever tested these in any firing range or anything?
Well, the firing just keeps exploding, so I imagine they're doing their job.
And you can guarantee this isn't gonna take my own arms off?
Only if you are within... See, here's the beautiful part of this. Upon contact, it doesn't just blow up in all directions, similar to how most other bombs work. It actually is a focused blast that will blast away from you. In a sense, I'm safe right here if it decides to detonate. Because it will just go that way.
So what you're telling me is that if I do collide my fist with something and set one of these off at the same time, I am totally fine.
You are 100% fine. Can't guarantee anything for the other guy, though.
Then I will take
Would you
these. I will test drive them, and if I like it, I want more.
Well, unfortunately, we're on opposing sides after we walk away from this, so we'll see.
But I take his case, and I start swapping out shells.
But I'm not above helping out right now, especially when we're in such a dire situation. Here are the events. The oceans will rise and swallow nations. A giant volcanic eruption will happen the year after that, which will darken the skies. And the final is the beginning of the last ice age of this civilization. Those are the major catastrophic events that will occur before the world goes to shit.
And then, let me guess, the machine resets everything by... The ice melts, the world floods over, and everything starts anew.
That's absolutely correct.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah. Jax is just working and working, trying so hard to find an answer. And Zulfikar, he seems pretty pleased with himself. He's actually very curious to see what you'll do. Says, you know, Ishana and I like to make a nice time of collecting champions, and Ishana just gives him this death glare. But she doesn't say anything. He says, you know, if you're interested, I have no problems with making weapons for the strong. After all, who better to wield my weapons than those who know how to use it properly? I already have one of them. Andrew was his name? Andrew. Good guy. Seems to have taken a liking to Longinus, the spirit that killed Christ.
You gave that to a normal person?
Certainly. It was given to a normal person when I first made it. And turns out he christened it with the blood of Christ. In Andrew's case, he's a little bit different. I can sense that he has strength to him. In the same way I can sense strength in you.
Tell me first, why do you say we are on opposing sides?
Oh, because of her. And he looks at Ishana.
Bad blood over millennia?
You could say that. She doesn't approve of the weapons I make, yet here we are, and my weapons are the only ones that work. He just looks at her with just the biggest shit-eating grin on his face.
Man.
She just stays quiet.
What a tough decision. That's actually very difficult.
Regardless of whether or not you are in the car